I think you, Mr. Albrecht, you mentioned actually this kind of dilemma, or which was presented. On the one hand, we know that these new technologies play a crucial role, and the issue of security and trust is absolutely fundamental. But therefore, there is a certain degree of hesitation not to actually overreach with the regulation. And I think what we have managed to achieve, it looks to me as a reasonable compromise. So in a way, I mean, cloud, which is a truly transformative technology. I mean, it basically changes the concept of IT in a company, and in a way, sky is the limit. And in that way, you could actually see the fact that the cloud has been for the first time regulated from the security point of view is in a way a testimony of the success of cloud. Yeah? So it matters enough to actually attract the attention of the regulators. And cloud is in a way covered in both ways. One, which is in a way straightforward, is the range of so-called essential operators of essential services or traditional critical infrastructure, wherever they're in the scope. We are talking about energy plant, transport companies, wherever they would use cloud services. Of course, they would pass on contractually the obligation that would be put on them by the NIS directive, being its security requirements, or actually being able to notify authorities about the incident. So cloud services would play a certain role. But what was difficult in the negotiation was actually, in a way, to agree on the recognition of cloud services as a sui generis, a kind of new type of critical infrastructure, digital critical infrastructure. Of course, we didn't use that term. We used the expression digital service providers. But why? I mean, because, as we see market trends, the cloud is increasingly becoming the backbone of doing business, especially for the newly established companies that do not have a pre-existing IT infrastructure in their premises. It's an obvious choice. I mean, they can actually focus on their core business and basically contract this out. I mean, you can even extend this analogy to electricity, with very few exceptions of probably smelters of aluminium, which may have kind of energy power plants because of the energy intensity of the production. Normally, companies do not have their own electricity generating facility. Yes, they rely on external providers. We don't even think about it. It's so obvious. But we are actually going in this direction with cloud. So why we have basically included cloud was the reason that you have basically thousands of European companies that rely on cloud in a way they relied on electricity and other essential services. What we have also seen is actually that, just to quote the UK report on the role of insurance in managing and mitigating cybersecurity risk, this kind of high-level report identified 4 catastrophic risk scenarios, and 3 specifically mentioned cloud. Data breach. The world's largest provider of cloud, I'm not mentioning the name, suffers a major breach of security. Business interruption. The world's largest provider of cloud-based applications hosting suffers a 24-hour outage. Payment system. Security breach at the largest provider of outsourced payment services. E-commerce payments are not possible for 48 hours. So these were kind of hypothetical scenarios identified, as possible, disaster scenarios of the future, and all of them included cloud. So how we go about it is still in the recognition that we should not actually overreach. We have quite a different approach to the way it is being regulated in the NIS directive. So as a part of the compromise, there was an agreement to have a light touch approach. So first of all, it means that cloud service providers basically are themselves setting out security requirements. We will have actually an implementing act, which is a type of a secondary legislation at EU level, to make sure actually that member states will not add things on top. So there would be a kind of main base reference line to which actually cloud services can revert to when choosing what type of security measures they want to take. Secondly, for the notification system, there was also the idea that only truly major incidents would need to be reported. Again, an element of this light touch approach is that the supervision by governments over the cloud would only generally be so-called ex post. So you wouldn't have like inspections, audits, as a preventive measure in case which normally would be done in relation to this traditional critical infrastructure, but basically only when the major problem happened and then exposed, an authority may do the inspections. Also to make the life of cloud services easier, as they provide services on a cross-border basis, there would be a principle that there would be just one jurisdiction, so basically the country of main establishment. So for example, if Microsoft that is here in the room, is providing cloud services across Europe, basically the authority supervising the compliance in the directive will be just one, which I presume it's Ireland. That's I understand the European headquarters of Microsoft. So all in all, I think we are really very much hopeful that the system is going to work. In the process of Commission developing the draft of implementing measures both on security requirements and notification of incident, we are definitely going also to involve and ask for the view of the stakeholders of the cloud services which would be covered. So I think this is a very exciting prospect because we basically have also, first time trying to regulate it. By the way, we also have for the first time a legal definition of cloud services. And I can tell you it took really weeks and months of discussion in-house, to arrive at a definition that would kind of be technologically neutral. Whether we failed or succeeded, I think the future will show. I mean, what we really strive to make this definition super simple, so it basically, I still haven't memorized it, but it's very short. It's very short. I can read it to you, but later. Again, just to conclude, we are very much looking forward for the engagement with this community, and I think basically cloud services, even beyond the concept of what would be now subject of regulation, this is absolutely crucial. It's a new frontier of cybersecurity, and we simply need to get it right. Clearly, regulation is just one of the tools to help. But of course, the cloud services would increasingly bear responsibility of actually the overall stage of cybersecurity, giving the reliance on them. Thank you very much.